today marks the 30-day deadline imposed by the Minister of Transportation to fix BC Ferry executive pay. Discussions have been ongoing, but what about a deal? CFAX1070 has been told by both BC Ferries and the Ministry of Transportation that talks are ongoing. The Greater Victoria Chamber of Commerce is among those raising concerns. I'm joined now by CEO Bruce Carter. Good morning, Bruce. Nice to see you in.
Oh, good morning. Great to be here.
Yeah, you made a brief appearance on Al Farabi's show this morning, but it was so great we wanted you back for more.
Yeah, no, it's good to be back and talking about our lifeline to the rest of the planet.
Absolutely, and this is going to give listeners a chance to call in as well to talk about this. Why is the Greater Victoria Chamber of Commerce so concerned about this?
Well, BC Ferries is literally our lifeline to the rest of the planet. Virtually everything that we consume on the island, with very few exceptions, travels on BC Ferries. Our food, our produce, all of our hard goods, they all travel on BC Ferries, and then we use it to connect. It's an economic lifeline to the rest of the province and the rest of the planet. So it's incredibly important.
So being the CEO of the Victoria Chamber of Commerce, is there a connection then with the high cost of ferries and the cost of doing business in Victoria? Make that connection for us.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Everything comes across on the ferry. So not only do we, when you look at people, what's a price point, when a family says, oh, perhaps I'll go to Bellingham and not to Victoria. We think that when you get to over $100 one way for a car, we're pretty much there. And certainly stats have shown that to be the case. So it's starting to affect travel patterns, we believe, and there's a price sensitivity around BC Ferries. So we see that happening. And then, of course, every rate increase that you see on a BC Ferry, you'll see in the price of broccoli in the grocery store shelves.
Mm-hmm. So what about the state of affairs as we sit here right now? Perennial concern. BC Ferries cost too much money, and in particular right now, executive pay. What do you think should be done? I mean, a lot of people say just too much money is being shelled out here for executives.
Well, you know what? I think overall, BC Ferries needs to have a look at what's going on, and I certainly share the concerns around executive compensation. They certainly don't seem to match the remainder of the public service. They are operating a monopoly, a regulated monopoly, so it's not like they're out there competing for their business, certainly at this stage. So, so that's an area of concern, and certainly we agree with the minister that there needs to be some rationalization done around the salaries. I think it's a drop in the bucket in the big scheme of things, though, around what needs to happen at BC Ferries. BC Ferries has been designed to carry vehicles since its inception. And you know what? The travel patterns have changed. The number of foot passengers are up so greatly on all of the runs because people are looking at travel differently and trying to lower their carbon footprint or reduce their costs. And
Isn't that a good thing, though?
Well, it is. It's absolutely a good thing. But BC Ferries needs to adapt to that.
How aren't they adapting to it? I mean, many of us have caught the bus to the ferry, and it's simply jammed you take Tawasin, for example, trying to get, time is running out, and you're trying to pay to get on the boat, and it doesn't seem like even in that interior area there, the front lobby, that there's enough space for people. It just, hasn't been expanded to sort of, deal with the reality of walk-ons.
I don't think the reality of the number of walk-ons that need to be accommodated on all the runs is there. I think they could do more to adapt to that. I don't think that you necessarily need to run a car ferry to take care of walk-on passengers or to connect communities. And I think that becomes the challenge is, as BC Ferries looks at replacing all of the smaller vessels, their plan is to replace them with car ferries because that's their mandate. Yeah,
and do we need car ferries when people are walking on? Let's bring Larry in. Hi, Larry. You're on CFAX1070. What do you think?
Yes, I just kind of want to dispute part of the information that's being put out there. Mm-hmm. There is another company that docks right beside the BC Ferries at Swartz Bay called C-SPAN.
Right.
And they run on barges back and forth with trailers on them, and more freight gets traveled on that ferry or on their service than is on BC Ferries. Right.
So you're saying we shouldn't be as concerned about price rises on BC Ferries when it comes to freight because most of it's going via C-SPAN? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, a good portion of it's going by C-SPAN. I definitely don't want to see the ferry rates go up because I drive truck myself. And just for me to take my truck with no trailer back and forth from Vancouver to Victoria is $165.
Wow.
So it's a 26-foot long trailer or truck with no trailer, and that's $165.
And are you doing that for pleasure or that's for work?
No, it's for work.
Wow. Yeah, there's no pleasure in $165, right?
That's for sure.
Let's let Bruce Carter, CEO of the Greater Victoria Chamber of Commerce, wade into that in terms of what C-SPAN's up to versus commercial traffic on BC Ferries.
Well, you know what? C-SPAN does operate a great service. It is right beside the Schwartz Bay Ferry Terminal. They have a good place in moving cargo that's not time sensitive. So by that I mean you drop a trailer at night and the next day it will essentially get to its destination. And so there's a bit more of a time delay. It doesn't work for things like any sort of a perishable produce. So all of the perishable food comes across on BC Ferries. All of the mail, for instance, which is time sensitive, comes across on BC Ferries. So C-SPAN has a role to fill. They do a good job. They are a competitive service. And I think it's important that they remain because we want to have more than one source of supply. But it doesn't meet all of the needs all of the time.
Right. So, but Larry, thanks for pointing that out. It's not our only lifeline. Thanks for calling, Larry.
Yeah, okay. Take care.
Let's put this down to more listeners. What should BC Ferries do to cut costs? 250-386-1161, star 1070 on your cell phone. You can email us, talk at CFAX1070.com. You can also find CFAX on Facebook. All right, so we've gone through executive pay. And you think that's just an element here of what needs to be dealt with?
An element, and to be quite honest, I think it's a relatively small one when you look at the size of the deficit that we need to address. It's forecasted to be about $26 million. Remember, that's going to rise each and every year. And it's going to get worse as we have more debt for the minor ferries as they're replaced.
But doesn't executive pay, doesn't that stick out? Isn't that a craw for people in terms of why, when there's this $26 million deficit, are executives reeling in so much money, bonuses and the like?
You know what? Although I understand that it sticks in people's craw, I think what sticks in somebody's craw more is $126 to take a tractor without a trailer on BC Ferries. And that's what we need to worry about. Because you know what? There are dozens of people a day who have to take a car or a truck or a tractor across on that ferry. And that's what really affects us as a community.
But couldn't bringing down executive salaries in part bring down costs? But you're saying we need to do a lot more than that.
Absolutely. I think, just addressing executive pay isn't going to get us anywhere. I think we need to talk about the mandate for BC Ferries. They need to connect communities, not move cars, which is a big change in definition. They need to start running some water taxis. They need to rationalize their terminals. Do they need 2 in Nanaimo? Do they need 3 on Salt Spring Island? They need to rationalize their routes, and I think they need to use a combination of both passenger and vehicle ferries. There's a spot for each. I think you can serve a lot of the commuter-related routes with high-speed water taxis with good transportation links, and that's what we should be looking at.
High-speed water taxis. All right. Where should they go to and from? What do you envision them looking like?
Well, there's lots of spots in the Gulf Island where people are trying to commute, trying to get to their jobs on a daily basis, and they need to catch that first ferry in the morning, but they don't really need their car. They just need that good, strong transportation connection. And if you had, for instance, a park and ride or a good bus service or an express bus that didn't leave until the water taxi got there, so it didn't leave on a schedule, left when the water taxi left, you could achieve a lot. You could probably even look at improving service to some of the areas at a lower cost.
But we have to build water taxis or buy them from somebody.
Well, yes, but the cost of a water taxi is going to be significantly less than the $100 million car ferries that are under construction now.
Fair enough. Let's bring Barney into the conversation. Hi, Barney. You're on CFAX 1070. What do you think?
I just tuned in, so I just got one question, and then I'll hang up.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me any other position where you can run a business at a deficit and still reap bonuses?
Well, I think that the weatherman, when he gets it wrong, he still gets paid.
Bonus?
maybe as well. You're the CEO of the Greater Victoria Chamber of Commerce. Bruce, I'll put that one to you. Barney is asking, do you know of any other sector? I think they sadly abound, but go ahead and I'll let you answer.
Well, executive compensation in the public sector is not an area of my expertise, but certainly we have seen lots of executive compensation around places like ICBC and health authorities and others based on performance criteria that are not necessarily financially based.
Well, and that's just, I mean, when we get back to this, I mean, today's supposed to be the 30-day deadline posed by the Minister of Transportation to fix executive pay. Perhaps that should be part of the equation. What is the criteria by which bonuses are given out or salaries? I mean, there should be some formula that says, they can't be running a massive deficit and be getting this kind of pay and this kind of bonuses. Or is that just too simplistic?
Well, it is. Unfortunately, it's too simplistic because BC Ferries, for instance, doesn't have some of the tools that it needs in order to save money or to do all those other things. So, they have a contract that says that they need to run 7 sailings a day between certain ports. They need to operate all the ferry terminals that they currently operate. So we go and I talk to the CEO of BC Ferries and say, you know what, I think you really need to look at these terminals and these routes and some of those things you can do there. I said, Bruce, you know what? Contractually, we're required to provide the service levels that we're at. The only place where I have excess service that I can cut is the major ferry routes. And so that's where I cut sailings, even though those are running at the highest occupancy of all of them. But they're the only ones where I have the capacity to reduce. And
that's capacity to reduce means day of saying, we don't have enough people, we're going to cancel.
No, that means they can change the schedule. They're running more ferries on their major routes than the contract requires. Right? And the contract is with the government. So
why are they running more than the contract requires?
Because the demand is greater.
So it makes sense that they would keep the ferries where they're needed, but that's the only route, the major routes are the only ones that they actually have the ability to pull back on?
At virtually every other route, they are at their minimum service levels as defined in their contract.
But they can't do anything about it.
So they can't do anything about it.
They being BC Ferries?
They being BC Ferries. Now, the minister can change the contract.
Okay. So when we come back, we're going to hear more from Bruce Carter. He's the CEO of the Greater Victoria Chamber of Commerce. We're talking about what should be done to cut BC Ferries costs. The number is 250-386-1161, star 1070 on your cell phone. You can email us, talk@CFAX1070.com. Stay with us.
Email talk@CFAX1070.com. Pamela McCall on CFAX 1070. If it's the Callwood Crawl or a mess on the Malahat, we've got your back with more traffic more often. If it's happening, it's here. Victoria's News Authority, CFAX 1070.
The seafood roll call at Average Joe's Pub.
Fish and chips? Yep.
The seafood roll call at Smuggler's Cove Pub.
Fish and chips?
Present.
Tuna tataki?
Over here.
Steamed mussels? Ready. Tequila lime prawns?
Right here. For seafood that's anything but average, drop by Smuggler's Cove Pub in Cadboro Bay Village. Open 11:30 to 11:30, Monday to Saturday. Sunday brunch from 11 to 2, with a great lineup of Victoria craft beers every single day. Smuggler's Cove Pub, the friendliest little pub in Victoria. Daily specials online at smugglerscovepub.com.
I'm Al Fairby with the latest from CFAX Santa's Anonymous. CFAX Santa's Anonymous is in need of warehouse space in the capital region for their fall fundraising programs. They require 15,000 square feet to use in October, November, and December for toy donation and food hamper storage. If you can help, call 920-4644.
Helping Victoria children and families in need, no matter what the need. Donate to CFAX Santa's Anonymous now at CFAX1070.com.
How Bell makes watching mobile TV better. Sarah asks,
can you recommend a new phone for watching TV on the go?
Well, Sarah, the new LG G2 Superphone has a 5.2-inch full HD screen. It's great for watching mobile TV. And since you're with Bell, you can access over 30 live mobile TV channels, so you'll never miss a moment of your on-screen favorites. Get your LG G2 on Canada's largest LTE network. Visit a Bell store for details. Bell, keeping entertained just got better.
If it's time to fix or replace your roof, you might be feeling uncertain about what you want or need. And that's understandable. It's a big decision, one you need to get right, so don't rush it. Call Aerial Roofing. They'll sit down with you and review all your options, helping you make an informed decision.
Okay.
Aerial Roofing. Honest about roofing. For a free estimate, get in touch at aerialroofing.ca.
Saving money can be tough. You scour the paper for a sale. Clip coupons. Line up the night before. Rush into the store as soon as it opens. Take an elbow to the eye. And end up with 10% off a blender and 12 stitches.
Ow.
Or you could do something that won't scar and just turn your washing machine to cold water. Whatever floats your boat. We'll do a lot to save money. We don't have to do a lot to save money on power. See how much you could save at powersmart.ca.
Much and South Park would like to take this opportunity to apologize for the offensive nature of this all-new season.
We're sorry.
I'm sorry.
We're sorry.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Do we really have to resort to that?
Yes, Cartman, we do.
Don't you guys realize what that means?
Come on, Cartman, say it.
I've got better things to do with my time.
Cartman! Watch South Park, Wednesday at 7, only on Much.
Hi, this is CFAX1070. I'm Pamela McCall. What should BC Ferries do to cut costs? The topic right now with Bruce Carter, CEO of the Greater Victoria Chamber of Commerce. Taylor Smith, my board operator, is with us now. We've got some comments on Facebook. Taylor, what are people saying there?
Well, got some interesting comments. Rob says cut salaries because $15.50 as a walk-on is just silly.
That's a lot. $15.50 to walk on.
Just to walk on. And you know what?
I'm with you, Rob.
I walk on a lot, and it's amazing how full the walk-ons are now.
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy. I guess lots of walk-ons.
It beats the car person
more
ratio.
And more. Yeah.
What else is there?
Anyways, we got Troy saying, stop subsidizing island commuters. Let each route pay for itself. Graham says, cut MGT salaries and bonuses.
All right, so lots for cutting salaries, some of them in the realm of management. I'll let you wade in here, Bruce. Troy's comment, stop subsidizing island commuters. How would that work?
Well, you know, I don't think that works. I think that we as a province subsidize transportation to a lot of remote areas of the province. You know, and to that I include the Northern Island where we have the Northern Ferry routes, or we have the Gulf Islands. They're remote by their geography. You know, I suspect that there are subsidies ultimately that go into connecting places like McBride and perhaps Prince Rupert and the northern parts of the province. I don't think those communities pay their highway costs directly. I think we do as a province because we think it's worthwhile to connect to those remote areas. So I think removing the subsidies for the Gulf Islands isn't the way to do it. I think we need to look at how we provide that service better.
Okay, so subsidies still there, but you're talking about reduced service.
You know what? I think we can improve service. You know, and we were talking during the break. We're talking about how many people are walking on the ferries. You know, and that, you know, you're getting to the point where it's hard to find a spot to sit when you walk across in a ferry now because there are so many walk-ons. We're getting to the point where we're turning away walk-ons on ferry traffic because the major routes are full.
And they have not adapted over the years. Let's get to Michael. Hi, Michael. You're on CFAX1070. What do you think?
Hi, I think, first of all, that BC Ferries is an excellent value. In 1998, I went to Plymouth in England, and the ferry across to the Scilly Isles was $90 one way to walk on.
Ooh.
And I asked the residents, I said, how can you do that? They said, we just build it into our cost of living. Now, the thing with the walk-ons, and it amuses me when I hear you saying there's so many walk-ons, you try that on a Wednesday afternoon at 1 o'clock and see how many walk-ons there are. That you're basing your comments on a Sunday night and a Friday night. And that's the problem with the ferries. They are full at certain times, but the rest of the times they're going backwards and forwards with hardly any capacity.
Should we reduce sailings, Michael, based on that?
You know, if we went every 4 hours, then you'd reduce costs. You'd reduce the hard costs. The fuel is still the same, the labour is still the same, but then there'd be an absolute outcry if there wasn't a ferry at 9 o'clock. You know, if you couldn't get on the 7, people wouldn't want to wait.
I was going to say, have you waited the 2 hours when you've just missed one before?
Yes, ma'am, I have. I've been the one that's had the cone right in front of me.
Yes,
and yes, it's frustrating. But, you know, it's a very, very good service, and it's actually very well managed.
Thanks, Michael, and it's not 90 pounds to walk on. Thanks for your comments, sir.
You're welcome.
Bruce, what do you say to that? That we're talking about, you know, heavy trafficked areas or times of the week. What goes on during the rest of the week?
Well, Michael's comments, you know, about, you know, be careful treating each route like it's always one way or the other is pretty valid. But the major routes, he's actually not correct. There's a lot of load balancing that happens on those major routes. You know, when there aren't many walk-ons on there Wednesday at 1 o'clock, it's full of trucks because they've actually deferred the trucks from the morning sailings. All of the grocery trucks will hold and wait. They don't go on a 5 or a 7, but they get on the 9 and they have priority there. So BC Ferries has actually done a really good job at trying to manage that and work with the suppliers to the island in order to move that forward. And I think that's good. The major routes are not necessarily where we have the capacity challenges, and those that are underserved all of the time. It's those routes that are running at 10% capacity on an average.
Give us an example that would affect people here in Victoria.
Well, they all affect Victoria because now we need on the major routes to subsidize the minor routes.
Right.
So, you know, if there's a ferry, if there's a ferry that runs to Sontoula that runs at normally 10% and doesn't recover hardly any of its cost at all, the travelers on BC Ferries between Victoria and Vancouver are going to pay that cost.
Right.
You know, so that's where we need to look at how can we better meet the needs of that community. We can't abandon it. And I think, you know, we go back to terminal rationalization. BC Ferries
What does that mean, terminal rationalization?
We need to close either Duke Point or Departure Bay.
Closure.
Like
Duke Point or Horseshoe Bay.
Or Departure Bay, sorry.
Departure Bay.
Yeah. We've got the capacity.
2 terminals, we don't need them both.
Right. And one of them costs $30 million a year. You know, and that's a real challenge. I think that's a decision that needs to be made by the city of Nanaimo. But we can't afford to operate those 2 terminals. Maybe seasonally we need a little capacity there, but not year-round.
Quick comment from Paul here. Keep it mechanically well-maintained so they keep running as they should. Research other ferry systems and see what they offer their passengers while en route. Quit giving their executive raises where they're not deserved. More say by the people of BC in policy and government, and make it part of the DOH system. Let's get to Don. Hi, Don. You're on CFAX1070. Quick comment, sir.
You bet, yeah. Good morning, Pamela. I would say send the bureaucrats that are running the system down to the Washington State ferry system, and maybe they'll learn something from them. They run their ferry systems tighter financially, and they aren't as fancy. However, they get the job done.
Yeah, you get to point A and B, and the executives aren't making what they're making up here.
Well, the executives, I don't mind paying big money, but they aren't really doing anything that big, if you get my drift. Also, those that choose to live on the Gulf Islands need to choose to pay the full whack. I mean, the big ferries, they pay for themselves, and actually, every time we get on the larger ferries, we're subsidizing those people that live on the Gulf Islands. I think that has to end. That's only fair.
Thanks, Don. We got a few calls to get into. Always a pleasure. Let's see if we can get time to get Bob in here. Hi, Bob. You're on CFAX1070. Quick comment, sir. Hi there, Bob. Well, Bob doesn't seem to be with us, but I'm sure he had lots to say. We'll have to bring this one up again. Bruce Carter, CEO of the Greater Victoria Chamber of Commerce. What are you asking of the Minister of Transportation based on what we're talking about?
Well, you know, the conversation that we're having here, we've had in 2 or 3 consultations with the ministry, with numerous meetings with the ministry, and they're about to go out and consult again. We'd like them to go out and consult about a plan, as opposed to going out and saying, we want to see how you feel. You know how we feel. Let's come up with a plan and go and consult about that. It's not going to be an easy thing to do, but I think it's the best way so that we know what we're talking about, and we can talk about how we're going to adapt the service to meet those fiscal realities.
Well, and you're talking about you're an advocate of closing one of the 2 terminals in Nanaimo.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at all of the other terminals, where do we need to have terminals where we don't? Perhaps in some cases there should be a bridge reconstructed, like between Thetis and Cooper.
Well, and what about, you know, as you say, like looking at the contract that makes it, well, I guess it's etched in stone that the sailings must continue as they do, even the underutilized routes. The ships that are used must still be used. It's kind of a rejigging of the sails, pardon the pun, in a big way.
Well, absolutely it is. And, you know, and it may require that you even start to look at things like split shift for BC Ferries, folks. And I know that that's not allowed in their contract, but, you know, if in order to be able to maintain a service that meets everyone's needs, that needs to happen, then we need to look at it.